What's up, everybody? This is Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles with Kevin McCurley from New England Reptile Distributors. And a topic that we just got in that we're going to cover is line breeding or inbreeding in reptiles through generations for different inheritable traits. And this is something I think Kevin can talk a lot more on.
Jason knows all about inbreeding.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's acceptable.
He's married to his sister.
I hear it's acceptable in the lower states, but in the upper United States, it's not a good activity to partake in. Although in Massachusetts, you can marry your first cousin. Kevin,
are you actually still talking?
They can.
I didn't even.
So
know that.
Kevin is going to talk on line breeding or inbreeding in reptiles because he probably has more experience in this than I could speak on. So.
All right, I guess if we're going to talk a little bit about inbreeding and stuff like this, you should probably move closer because you are a midget. All right, so if we're basically inbreeding, so like if Jason breeds his sister, probably the resulting babies will not be good.
But I don't have a sister, so that's not possible. But just throwing that on the record.
All right. So, anyways,
if I did,
if we take related snakes or lizards or whatever, what's really good about reptiles is the reptile genes are generally very, very strong, and unlike mammalian and avian type things, they'll tolerate a fair bit of reproductive inbreeding before you really have to pay any consequences. So, if we start breeding, let's say a brother and sister together, or a father and a daughter, and there are no genetic malformities in the genetics by successive breeding within the same lineage, you don't just magically, by breeding, father to granddaughter, you don't magically just start creating these mutant genes that would create abnormalities. The gene actually has to be there for even to occur. So you don't just like, well, if I breed these together, they're just spontaneously going to, occur. Mammals and stuff like that would certainly not tolerate it, but you don't just like breed an albino boa to a normal boa and then you take those resulting babies and just over the years you keep breeding them back together, and then you start creating ones with no eyes, unless that was in the genetic lineage, so it's not like spontaneous.
Yeah, so that's actually albino to albino is something I know specifically with alboas, but I know somebody asked in relation to water monitors, and I know this is something big with boa breeding is people say don't breed albino to albino, and my personal thought on that is I've bred albino to albino and I've had great success with a lot of good babies, but I think that initially there were boas that were bred, a boa with one eye. And then, as Kevin said, that does add some weak genes to the gene pool, and I think that's where kind of the misconception happens, where you're getting these deformed babies from something that was line bred.
Are you my interpreter?
Like that.
Is that what's going on?
Is that what's happening?
So no,
yeah.
But so
right?
actually, what Jason's saying is true. So somewhere on the line, there could be an animal that was carrying a problem with eyes. We do now. When we are breeding mutant genes, which are all these, albinism and all these different things, motley, all these different things are some genetic, random occurrence. So it's a screw up or whatever you want to say, but they are basically mutant genes. Sometimes a mutant gene could be associated with some kind of weakness. Let's say if we talk about, let's say like caramel albino in ball pythons, that is often associated with, kinking. We can have super cinnamons that have cleft palates, like weird nose things, and just some kinking and stuff like that. So these are different mutant genes that also can sometimes carry on other genetics that we're not even aware of, because we're all amateur genetic researchers, and we're all trying to understand these things. We don't understand like albinism may come with, don't mind my phone, albinism might come with some other associated, problem like pied could be, and all this different stuff. But genetically, if we're starting with a very strong gene and we do the inbreeding, there is a lot of tolerance. So there are good points to line breeding and inbreeding, because we're looking at all these different little subtle genes that you could look, well, this thing has speckling, this thing has really nice yellow, that we wouldn't say that's an inheritable genetic mutation, but it's more like a polygenic type thing. It's lineages. When we breed them back together, we have to refine it, and then you might have a genetic lineage where your snakes have more yellow or more peppering or something like that. Collectively, they all work well and they give you a very defined bloodline, but those are all like polygenics with the basic genes.
So I guess in relation to defects and fatal flaws with snakes, I don't think it has as much to do with the line breeding as much as I got his tip again. Without I don't think it has much as it has to do with the line breeding as it has to do with the actual genetic makeup or incomplete flaws within the genes itself. So this is video. We're not sure what number video we're on, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember
I don't, because I don't know who any of you are.
I know.
Do you actually? I heard you had 2 subscribers.
I interact
and it was
with everybody.
you and me.
But remember to subscribe, leave some comments below. We'll keep the videos coming, and I appreciate the follows. Thank you.
And we're sweating.
And we're sweating.
Goodbye.